Hi guys, and welcome to another interview with me. This week, I'm going to be sitting down with somebody who's been in the industry for a very long time. Has got a lot of experience as far as being a chief stewardess, service, anything that you can imagine. I hope you enjoy it. And this morning, I'm sitting down with Alene. Hi, Alene. How are you?
Hi, Dre. I'm great. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Aline, you've been in the industry for how long?
I don't want to scare anybody, but 30 years. Yep.
Wow.
So, yeah, my,
That's
my goal was to be the oldest living stewardess, but my back hurts and I'm really tired.
Please tell me, what is it that you are currently up to?
Well, I wrote a book 5 years ago, and then I worked with the PYA and the guest program, and we came up with a set of protocol that we believe that every stew should learn, all of the interior courses. So I was on the work group for that, and then I went to teach at a maritime academy, and I wrote all of those courses for that school, and I was the lead instructor. And then since then, well, the school closed for quite a while, and now I'm on my own and I'm redoing all of the courses, original material, and creating online courses. And I'm a PYA guest accredited instructor, and the courses will be put up for certification as well.
Okay, that's really interesting. So, a lot of your courses, will that all be online accessible or more attendance courses?
It'll be online accessible, and I still do on-board training. So for many years, I've traveled all over the world to go and train the interior team and go help after a bad charter, pick up and go over their mistakes and see what we could do differently next time. So I'll be doing that as well, but it'll be mostly online. And of course, the thing that's missing from classroom is the practical experience. So I would be used to having the silver service course would be 8 hours and 4 hours of that would be practicing.
Hmm.
So I can't really do that online. So coming up with some ways to help people do some learning on their own and take the initiative to learn different things. And then they'll have access to me for 1 hour to ask any questions that they want at the end of each program. So I've been teaching the wine course for about 6 weeks now online, and silver service goes up the 1st of October. So I'm getting great feedback and finding ways to improve the course so that people get more out of it.
Okay, that's really excellent actually, because that actually bridges the gap from people not being able to get into the classrooms. And I mean, it's kind of cool that you still have this ability to give people an hour of your time so that they can still show you the practical side of things that they have been able to practice throughout your course.
Yes, and after so much time in the classroom, I know so much of what their problems were and their issues, and that's what I want to address more than anything. That because it's really hard until you've actually been on a boat to know what you're
Yeah.
going to be worried about or what you're scared about. So I try to cover all of that in the class, so people have more confidence going in. And then of course, every boat and every chief stew is different, so you're going to get different instructions from every boat, and that's fine. But I think you should know the basics and know what you're expected to know, and there is a basic outline that we follow that should prepare you for a lot of different situations and a lot of different chief stews and a lot of different clients. So everything varies so much from boat to boat.
Yeah, that's really true. Everybody's got their own way of doing things, but the basics are definitely the same.
Hmm.
Okay, so another question. I mean, that's really interesting. I'm very interested in your courses, but let's learn about you before yachting. What did you do before you joined the industry?
Well, this is really bizarre, but I'm from Wyoming originally, and when I finished at high school, there weren't very many jobs, and so we had special training schools, but the work available was on the oil rigs, and so I actually was a heavy equipment operator, and I built roads on the oil rigs, and
Wow.
yeah, so that was really good. It was very practical, and it's like, it was beautiful. It's in the mountains. It's not like you're working on a highway gang or something like that. But
Hmm.
but I went back to college then, and I went for construction engineering, and I hated it. So I changed my major to music, And then for
Okay.
my senior year, I went to St. Thomas in the US Virgin Islands. And so I actually worked for a diesel engine company while I was in school. So I would sell diesel engines during the day, and then I would sing at night. And then I saw the big white boats and I said, I'm going.
Okay, that's so interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I really had fun in St. Thomas because every island is a different country. So when somebody would have an engine breakdown or something in Antigua or in the BVI's, they would need parts to be delivered. And then, of course, it takes so long to ship things from island to island. So I would just go. I would deliver the parts and take the ferry or hop on a plane that was going down to Antigua or something. So I really got to see a lot and meet a lot of people. So when I did decide to get into the industry, I had a really strong foundation, but there was no such thing as a crew agent yet. So
Yeah.
there weren't very many boats at all. And so it was very, very different than it is now.
Wow, what a cool story. Um, okay, so next question. You just mentioned how what the moment was when you decided to join the industry, but what was your next steps? The moment that you decided that's where I'm going to go, what was your process of actually joining it? Yeah.
Well, it was really very easy. And I hesitate to say this, but I was delivering parts to a sailboat in Yacht Haven in St. Thomas. And we had a little office and a little shop down there. And right next to our office, there was a sign that said Yacht Crew Wanted. So I went in and talked to the guy, and he said, yeah, we have a boat here. It was a 170-foot boat. That's a big boat for
Mm.
that time. And they needed somebody for 2 weeks. And so I actually had to pay the agent, that he was probably the first agent, and I had to pay $15 to sign up to get a job. And I actually didn't have any cash of my own, so I borrowed it from my boss and didn't pay him back until Friday. And then I told him that I was going on this charter, and he said, oh, I knew you'd find out about it someday. So I did the charter, and then they offered me a full-time job. So
Oh, wow.
about a month after that charter ended, then I went on the boat full-time.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was wild. And I was engaged to a guy who was in yachting, and he had taken time off from yachting. So I knew about the industry, but there were really not very many boats at all then. And
Yeah.
then we had a really, really bad hurricane. We lost everything. We lost our jobs and a lot of damage to stuff. So he went back into yachting to start to recover financially. And then, of course, when I took the job, I was hoping to go to the Med to join him. That's why I was so excited, because we tried to get a couple's job together, and it just didn't work out. So
Hmm.
I was very excited, and then it was planning 21 days to get there. And after 4 days, the owner called and he said, I want to go to Alaska. So we turned around and we went to Alaska. And the captain said, do you want to stay? And I said, yeah, I guess so, because I don't have any place to live or any other job or anything. So that was the end of the romance too.
Yeah. So that was your first big crossing, was to go from the Caribbean to Alaska.
Yeah, so we went through the Panama Canal, and that was really amazing. And then we were in San Diego because we actually needed some more work done on the deck. And so we had planned that as soon as we got into port somewhere, we'd bring a team in to finish doing the decks, whatever. So we sat in San Diego for a few months, and then we ended up going very slowly up the coast. So we stayed in San Francisco for a while. We went to Seattle for about a month. We were in Vancouver, and then we went to Alaska and came back, and then started the usual. Now it's winter time, and so you do the Caribbean. So I was really happy because I had already lived in St. Thomas for 5 years, so I had a lot of friends. And
Yeah.
then the next thing I did was 4 summers in the Med. And then I got on a boat where I stayed a long time. I stayed 7 years on a boat. And we did New England every year. And then we just sat in St. Bart's every year. So again, it was a great program. But I always stayed a long time with families. I'm a long-term person. So my
Okay.
first job I was on for 4 years. And then usually 4 or 5 years for each one.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really something to take note of for all the everybody wanting to come into the industry. If once you join a boat, you know, it's really it's really good to stay as long as you can. Like I would say a year minimum, because you know it looks good on your CV and people can see that you're willing to stick it out. You're not just coming for like some sort of summer vacation
Yes.
to work on the boat. So the longer you can have on your CV for each role, the better. The better that is, definitely. Okay, so one more question. With all the knowledge and experience you have now, looking back, what would you have done differently, if there is anything that you would have done differently?
You know, I really feel like I was so lucky. I got the most amazing families to work for, and I'm from a really big family myself, so I've got on right away with the crew. My first boat was 12 crew, and that was really good for me. The thing that I kind of wish I had experienced at one time is a crew house, but
Okay.
I bought a house right away, and so I never really had to go through that. But I know it can be really, really difficult, but it can be what gets you started in the industry. And
Mm.
so I kind of wish I had experienced that. And then the other thing that I was so lucky, because my very first chief stew, when she left the boat, she started the American Yacht Institute. So she started the very first yachting school in the United States. So you can imagine that I had really good training with her.
Mm.
And I wish that I had gotten a little more contact with other crew, because it's a different thing when you're not chartering all the time. You don't make as many friends and socialize as much, and I know that's what's played up a lot. And how, you know, the charters are wonderful. I did charters for 6 years and I liked it, but it's just kind of hard. I feel like I was kind of stuck in one place, and on the one hand, I really like that, but I didn't ever go to Thailand or do any of those things that everybody does now.
Yeah.
So that's really my only regret. And like I said, I was so lucky to have that first chief stew. And then the first year I was in yachting, there was a French butler was giving classes in Fort Lauderdale, and so I I got training from him. And then I really, really enjoyed having a protocol, and that's when I started thinking about teaching, and I actually started writing and teaching almost 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's quite I mean, if I think about when I first started yachting, to have been able to have access to a butler actually training you
Hmm.
on on how to be perfect on board, that would have been amazing. What a really cool opportunity. Yeah.
It was really an opportunity. And then I think also because I was on the same boat for a long time, like we sat in New York City for weeks at a time every summer. And so there were a lot of boats having parties, and we were having parties. So they would come and work with us, and I would go work on their boats. And then what I realized was there's nobody knows the same thing.
Yeah.
So I started writing about that and teaching people, and pretty soon captains were sending their girls over. It's like, well, go talk to Alene, she'll help you with that. So I actually stayed on that boat until my boss passed away, and we knew he was dying, and I didn't want to go until he had passed. And so during that time, it's when I started setting up my training business, and I went right into training after he passed away. But I realized there wasn't anything that everybody shared the same information about, and it
Mm.
is a lot of differences from boat to boat. But there are basic rules that if you know them, then you can adapt them and not go, is this chief stew crazy or was that one crazy? You know how that goes. So
Yeah. Definitely, definitely. Okay, so one last question that I have for you is, what do you feel is the best bit of advice that you can give a person that's starting out in the industry right now? So share your words of wisdom.
okay, well, I really enjoyed when I was teaching at the academy. I had probably 5 or 6 new students every week. And the thing that I really saw that they weren't getting in the beginning was you have to plan a little bit. It's really hard because you're just kind of thrown into it and you never know what's going to happen. And in the beginning, you just kind of have to take jobs as you can. But
Mm.
as you build your career and you build your resume and go a little bit farther on, it really helps to narrow down what it is that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So if I've been on a private yacht for a while and I know I want a charter yacht, then I need to be able to communicate that to the crew agencies, and also to plan for the long term as well. I mean, everybody's going to tell you this: save your money. You will not be in this situation again for a really long time. And I've had girls that I worked with that paid off their student loans and were able to start their own business within 6 years because they knew the importance of saving money. And it's just such a huge perk to have, we don't really have any living expenses, but you could decide what you really love. Like you, Dre, you know what you want to do. And how hard would that have been to be for you if you stayed where you grew up? So getting out really expands your horizon. And you also might learn that you're really good at something that you didn't know you were good at. So you might decide, I want to be a florist, or I want to be an event planner. And they're all things that you wouldn't have probably even dreamed of doing before. So I just say pay attention and really plan ahead a little bit. And then as you move on, start to know what you're really looking for, because that really helps the agencies place you better if they know what kind of a boat you want to be on.
Yeah, that's true. You need to know what it is that you're working towards. I mean, ever since I can remember, I've always wanted to do something online or something outside of yachting. For the life of me, I couldn't figure it out. It was quite a few years of getting there, but everything comes with time. So you don't have to obsess about it in the beginning. Just, plan ahead, like you said, save money, invest in stuff rather than just spending all your money by going out partying with everybody else on the boat. So
that's tough. And my first boat, I actually ended up being the crew cook. And so the crew would sometimes go out before I was finished with my work. So I was kind of like, well, I'm not going to get into that very much. So I was lucky that way. But also I think you should always have enough money saved so that if you get into a bad situation or you have a family illness or something, that you have the resources that you need to take the next step to move on in your career.
Yeah,
so people get stuck and it's like, I can't do anything because I can't afford to leave. And that's that's the golden handcuffs. But
yeah, that's the thing, is that that's also something that I keep talking about, is like people need to realize that you can't be stuck in a situation where you are unhappy. And if you feel that you are stuck, it's because you don't have the financial step that you can walk away from it. So, or it could be an experience thing as well. Like you want to stick around because you want the experience, you want that 1 year on your CV, but nothing is really worth your happiness. So if you have that thing that you can lean on, like you already have some saved cash and that will buy you time to find a new job, then
exactly,
that makes it easy. Yeah.
All right. And then you can choose more carefully the jobs that you take and not be in a situation where, and boats do that too. We used to call it warm body syndrome. It would be like somebody would quit the boat like the day before we're leaving, and the captain's like, I don't care, just get a warm body in here. And no boat likes to operate that way, but sometimes that's how it goes. And when you're that person, you're the warm body, that's not always a good experience. Sometimes it's wonderful, but a little planning is important. And it's really hard in the beginning because everything's unknown yet.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that advice. I do actually have one more question, seeing as you have been in the industry for so long. What is the most funniest or awkward story that you can share with us?
oh dear, that'll be the next book. I'm serious. I'm retired, but I think really what was really amazing for me was when I joined the boat. So I did the 2-week charter in the beginning, and there was 12 crew. There were 3 stews, and the captain's wife was the chief stew. So when I went to join the boat, the captain said, so you heard the news, right? And I'm like, no. And he goes, all the girls quit today. Do you still want to go? So it's going to be me and 6 guys. And I said, I guess so, because I don't have any place to live and I don't have a house anymore. And he said, well, can you cook? And I'm like, I guess I have 21 days to learn. So I had 21 days to learn how to cook. And they were so nice to me because they were afraid they wouldn't get any food.
Yeah. That's crazy. Well, it really goes to show that you just never know what's going to happen in yachting, right?
And it's amazing. It's, I feel so lucky to have had all this time and to have had my health, because, it's really hard work and you have to take care of yourself. And I'm so glad to see that people are talking about that now in the industry, that we need to take better care of our hours of work and rest, and to eat properly and to get some exercise. And I'm also a yoga teacher, And so I've always had that, and that has helped me so much. I really recommend, because you can do it in such a small space, but you
Yeah.
can learn how to shut your brain off, and I think that's really important.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much, Aline. It was really nice to have you here today. For those of you that are interested, Aline's book is called The Yacht Guru, and you can just contact her directly. I'll leave a little link in this video
Yes,
description. Thank
thank
you
you.
so much, Aline.
Thank you, Joy. It's great talking to you.
All right, I'll see you again soon. Bye.
Okay, bye.